Somehow, over the last few decades, many parents became convinced that sadistic people with cruel and twisted minds are out to harm their children with poisonous candy on Halloween trick-or-treating. Around the 70s and thereon, media reports took over, from op-eds to advice columns to headlines, all claiming that there were Halloween murderers out there who were tainting the candy with razor blades and poison. To ease the fear, many hospitals started offering to x-ray their kids' candy. An extensive study published in the mid-80s found no real evidence of such evil acts. Poisonings unrelated to Halloween, however, did not ease the fear either. One being the Tylenol poisonings that claimed the lives of 7 innocent people, understandably only intensified parents' anxiety. Even though most label the anxiety and fear as overblown, and the whole issue as an urban legend, real tampering events with Halloween candy did occur and can explain their impact towards these fears. We shall discuss 2 notorious ones today. One of the stories, sadly, took a deadly turn. The evening hours of October 31st, 1964 was a typical Halloween night where kids would dress up with their costumes and walk along the streets of their neighborhood for trick-or-treating. The same night, 2 teenage sisters, Elise and Irene, were dressed up as hobos and started knocking on people's doors, holding their candy bags waiting for their treats. One such door was opened by Helen Pfeil, who seemed annoyed with the kids and proceeded to ask them, "Aren't you a little old for trick-or-treating?" She then went back into the house to fetch their treats that were wrapped in napkins. She also plainly told them that these were inedible. Thinking nothing of it, the girls thanked the lady and moved on to other houses. It wasn't until they went home, when their mother took all of their candy and spread them on the table, when, to their horror, she discovered that the napkin contained dog biscuits, steel wool pads, and poison ant batons. These were clearly labeled as to what they were, but that did not make it less horrifying. The mother alerted the police and warned the rest of the community to look out for poisonous items in their candy. Indeed, some other kids found similar items, and all had a common house they visited, Helen Pfeil's. Police were quick to find the common thread and charged her with child endangerment after having her undergo a mental evaluation. Thankfully, no one was harmed. She received a 2-year suspended sentence. Her excuse was that the whole thing was a joke, but neither police nor the community seemed amused at all. The fact that she herself had 2 teenage sons aged 15 and 16 who also went trick-or-treating that night is truly the irony of this story. Timothy and Elizabeth were living in Deer Park in Texas with their father Ronald Clark O'Brien and their mother Dainine. It was a rainy night on Halloween in 1974, where at the age of 8, Timothy, along with his sister, his father, and some friends with their children, went knocking on doors near their home for trick-or-treating. One of the houses they went by had their lights off, but kids decided to knock on its door anyway. No one answered, and kids quickly ran off to other houses. Ronald, however, decided to stay behind. When he returned to rejoin the group, he told them that the house actually did open their door and generously gave him 5 giant tubes of powdered sour candy. He diligently shared the candy to each of his 2 kids, as well as the other kids. As the night ended and they all went home, Ronald gave Timothy his giant tube of candy to enjoy before going to bed. In fact, he helped him open it as it was oddly wrapped and wasn't coming out of the wrapper easily. Timothy complained of a weird sour taste, but his father gave him a Kool-Aid to wash off the bad taste. Not even few minutes have passed, and Timothy started to vomit violently. Timothy sadly died on his way to the hospital. The coroner quickly suspected the cause of Timothy's death after he smelled a very distinct odor, the smell of almonds. The autopsy confirmed his suspicion. It was cyanide. His autopsy also revealed that poor Timothy ingested an amount enough to kill 2 to 4 adults. Investigators immediately confiscated the remaining 4 tubes from the other kids that were luckily not consumed and subject them to testing, where it was confirmed that these also contained copious amounts of cyanide. The whole realization of cyanide poisoning could have easily been missed by the coroner, as only about 50% of the population can smell the almond odor of cyanide. All suspicions fell on Timothy's father, Ronald, especially when, during his questioning by police, he claimed he could not remember the house nor the people from which he obtained the candy from. Although lapse of memory, in and of itself, is not enough evidence, the fact that they eventually confirmed the house and the house owner's identity is what sealed the deal. The seemingly empty house was owned by an air traffic controller who was indeed working that night, and 200 witnesses confirmed his presence in the airport, making Timothy's father, Ronald, a liar. The last piece of the puzzle was found when they discovered the motive behind Ronald's evil, atrocious actions. Whilst digging a little deeper into his life, they learned about his deep financial troubles and his inability to hold down a job. Amongst theft and the risk of losing his property and car, he apparently taken out life insurance on both his children, a fact that their mom was unaware of, and he called the insurance the day after Timothy's death to receive his payment. Although they never discovered the place he purchased the cyanide, they found a pocket knife that contained traces of sugar and plastic wrapping material. The police also suspected that Timothy's father distributed the candy not only to his own children to receive the life insurance policies, but to the other 3 kids to make it seem like a random act from a crazed stranger. He was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and 4 attempted murders. He pleaded not guilty, and he used the rumors of twisted people who put poison and razor blades in kids' candy as his defense. The judge found him guilty and sentenced him to death only shortly after the trial ended. He was executed by lethal injection on March 31, 1984. Until the last minute, Ronald maintained his innocence. May Timothy rest in peace. It's such a tragic loss of a boy whose life was ahead of him, but was taken by the one person who should protect him the most. Over the years, very few and sparse cases were reported with tainted candy, and most of them turned out to be pranks. Many, in fact, support that the real danger stemming from this tradition is the passing cars that could accidentally kill in the dark night of Halloween. But in any case, being a parent myself, I would say, if you find unwrapped, torn, or homemade candy given out by strangers, best if you throw this away, just to be on the safe side. I hope you enjoyed the last part of the scary stories that happened on Halloween. And if you did, I hope you give the video a thumbs up and consider joining the Cicada family by subscribing. Until next time.